welcome to the deep dive. You've shared some really fascinating material with us today, all focusing on this idea of a second act career, specifically after hitting 50.
That's right.
And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Can these years actually be a time for, like, significant new beginnings, real fulfillment? Or is it just sort of winding down?
That's really the crux of it. The sources you provided, they really dig into this whole concept of reinventing your career after you pass that 50 mark.
Okay.
So our goal here in this deep dive is essentially to pull out the most useful bits, the key insights, the practical stuff from all this exploration.
Getting straight to the heart of it for our listeners.
Exactly. How this whole stage of life is being, well, completely reimagined.
Right. So our mission really is to cut through maybe some of the noise around this topic and just distill what this material actually tells us about these second acts after 50.
Hopefully offering some clarity.
Yeah, clarity and maybe, a bit of inspiration too. Without needing to wade through everything yourself, we're kind of aiming for those aha moments, you could say.
Definitely. Okay, so where do we start? I think one of the first things that jumps out from the sources is just how much the perception of life post 50 is shifting.
How so?
Well, the traditional view, slowing down, preparing for retirement, that seems to be fading.
Yeah, I noticed that. The material actually calls it an era of reinvention and rejuvenation. I thought that phrase was really striking.
It is powerful, isn't it? It pushes back against those old expectations.
It really does.
And what's key here, I think, is the focus on the individual's journey. The sources really stress that the first step, maybe the most important one, is self-reflection.
Taking stock, basically.
Exactly. Really digging into your skills, maybe those interests you put on the back burner years ago, the passions that still, spark something in you.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you're going to start a whole new chapter, you need some idea of what story you want to write.
Right. And this self-assessment, it's framed as the bedrock, the foundation for building a second career that's actually genuinely fulfilling, not just another job.
Absolutely.
And this isn't just theory either. The sources mention people like Mark Friedman. He wrote The Big Shift about this new stage beyond midlife.
Okay.
Yeah, and his whole perspective really hammers home this point. He sees these years after 50 as this incredibly fertile ground for growth, both personally and professionally. It's a very hopeful outlook.
Hopeful, yes.
Yeah.
And the sources give some great examples to, well, bring that hope to life. Like Julia Child.
Oh, yeah, Julia Child, amazing story.
Her first cookbook wasn't even published until she was 49, and then she becomes this huge TV star at 51. It kind of blows your mind a bit.
It really does. It's a fantastic reminder. And then there's Vera Wang.
Right, the fashion designer.
She jumped into the fashion world at 40. I mean, these aren't just flukes, are they?
Doesn't seem like it.
No, they really suggest that your age doesn't have to be the barrier we sometimes think it is, especially if you've got that passion driving you.
Makes you wonder what they were doing before that, what skills they built up.
Exactly. That laid the groundwork.
So, okay, it's possible, we see that, but why do people do it? Why make such a big shift after 50? It can't be easy changing tracks after decades sometimes.
Well, the sources highlight a few main drivers. One big one, purpose.
Wanting to feel like you're still contributing?
Yes, precisely. People have all this experience, this wisdom built up over years, and they want to keep using it, applying it in ways that feel meaningful.
That makes sense. You spend so long developing expertise, you don't want to just shelve it.
Not at all. And then there's the changing workplace itself. The sources mentioned that too, didn't they?
They did. Feels like more flexibility, remote work becoming more common.
Yeah.
That's making these transitions easier.
Definitely. Those are huge factors. They remove some of the old obstacles. Being able to work from home or set your own hours, that can make a massive difference if you're thinking about a change or even launching something yourself.
Which brings us to entrepreneurship. I have to say, some of the stats in the sources really surprised me there.
Yeah.
Which ones?
Well, the whole idea of who starts successful businesses, we tend to picture someone really young.
Right,
Yes.
that's the stereotype, yeah.
But the sources pointed out that the average age of a successful startup founder is actually around 45.
Which is interesting, isn't it? It suggests that maybe having that life experience, that professional background, is actually a real plus.
Maybe a better grasp of the market or just a stronger network.
Could be. And it gets even more interesting, that Kauffman Foundation study.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Highly respected group.
They found that in 2019, almost a quarter of new entrepreneurs were aged 55 to 64.
A quarter? That's huge.
It really is. And maybe the kicker is the data suggests these older entrepreneurs often have a higher success rate.
Wow. Why is that?
Well, The thinking is it comes down to that accumulated experience, those established networks we mentioned, maybe a more measured approach. So if you're over 50 and thinking about starting something, the odds might actually be better than you think.
The data certainly suggests you shouldn't count yourself out.
Okay, so we've talked about the why and the who.
Mm.
Let's get practical. What advice does the material give for someone actually thinking about making this kind of reinvention happen? The how.
Right. The practical steps. The source has laid out some really good ones. First up, maybe the most vital. Figure out your passion.
Go back to that self-reflection piece.
Exactly. What really lights you up? And then how could you maybe turn that into something professional?
Not just any job, but something you're genuinely excited about.
That's the goal. And then leverage what you already have, your network.
Ah, yes.
Mm.
Don't underestimate your contacts.
Absolutely not. These people know you, they know your work, they can be gold mines for opportunities, advice, even just moral support when you're making a big change.
And staying current must be key too, especially now everything changes so fast.
Oh, definitely. Lifelong learning. The sources hammered that home.
Being open to new skills, new tech.
You have to be. It keeps you relevant, expands your options. It's non-negotiable, really.
I also like the idea of dipping your toe in first.
Testing the waters.
Yeah, maybe volunteering or taking on a few freelance gigs in the area you're interested in. Seems less daunting.
It's a smart strategy. You get a feel for it, build some new skills, make contacts, all without, jumping off the deep end immediately.
Right.
And alongside that, setting goals, realistic ones, achievable ones. That helps keep you motivated, stop you getting overwhelmed.
Good point. Small wins build momentum. Now, there are also some slightly more unconventional ideas in there too.
The outside the box stuff.
Yeah, like using travel as inspiration.
I found that fascinating too. The idea that just changing your scenery, experiencing different cultures can spark new ideas or uncover hidden interests.
Breaking out of the routine.
Exactly. Letting new experiences kind of shake things up in your mind.
And the point about connecting with younger generations, that was interesting too.
Yeah, collaborating across age groups, it can bring in fresh perspectives, keep you plugged into current trends, maybe spark some really innovative ideas you wouldn't have come up with alone.
A two-way street, hopefully.
Ideally, yes.
So putting it all together, it sounds like this whole reinventing after 50 thing is much bigger than just changing jobs.
Oh, absolutely. It's more holistic.
It's about fundamentally reshaping your life, isn't it? To align better with your values, your aspirations at this stage.
That's the core message from the sources, I think. Recognizing the value you still bring, the potential you still have, and seeing that there's this huge landscape of possibilities still out there. It's not an endpoint.
Far from it, seems like. Well, this has been really insightful. It definitely paints a picture of the post-50 years being full of potential, not decline.
Glad we can dig into it.
So just to wrap up for our listeners, the material you brought us strongly suggests these years can be a really powerful, fulfilling time for new starts, for those meaningful second acts.
It really does. Which leads us to maybe a final thought for you to ponder.
Okay. Thinking about everything we've discussed, is there maybe one passion, one skill, perhaps something you've put aside that's lying dormant that you might look at differently now? What's one small thing, one tiny step maybe you could take just to test the waters, see where it leads? It's really just an invitation to connect this personally, to think about the possibilities in your own life.